welcome into Core Values, the All Things Broken Arrow podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Rivera. Alongside me, as always, is Mr. Chuck Perry, the Superintendent of Broken Arrow Public Schools. And across from me, we have a couple of specialists from the Fine Arts Department. But we always like to let you guys introduce yourselves, let our guests do that. So let's start there. Introduce yourselves, give your background and how you got to your position here at Broken Arrow. We'll start with you, Ms. Vento.
It's kind of a long story.
Yeah, it is. we have an hour.
Yeah, we'll do this quick. Actually, this is my 31st year. And the reason I came to Broken Arrow is because of the arts, actually. Darren Davis, who is our executive director of fine arts, and I went to college together up in Missouri.
Wow.
And so we went through school together, graduated. Darren moved back home. I got married. We had a whole group of people that were just best buddies in school, and we were all fine arts kids. And he called and said, "You ought to come down here," with my husband at the time, and you ought to come down here and check out. We got a job open in the band as a band director. And I did color guard and dance and played instruments and everything. And so we got married, and 2 months later, we moved to Oklahoma from Kansas City. And so I started out working with the Winter Guard the first year and Color Guard that next fall, and continued that for 16 years. Also, the year we started, I got a job at Haskell working with the special needs department. I was a para in one of the classrooms, and then moved to the high school and ended up in technology for a while. And then a job came open, actually was created with the theater as it grew. And I moved over to there in 2013 and then became the director of the Performing Arts Center thereafter. And so I've been there since 2013.
Fantastic. And that brings us to you, Mr. Foreman. Give us your spiel.
I feel like I needed like a connect the dots for you, like a timeline. Like, my goodness.
Forget you worked in IT for a while. Yeah.
That's what I met you, was when you were in IT. So I have been in Broken Arrow for 20 years now. I came right out of college doing marketing and website development and all that stuff when it was very kind of like archaic and they hadn't really figured it all out yet. So we literally were building the plane as we were flying it. Did that for many years, for about 14 years. Left for a little bit, went and got some amazing experience with the Tulsa Performing Arts Center, running their marketing department, but also curating their art gallery and doing monthly art showings, and really got into the performing arts part of everything. And then being a performer myself, just that love of fine arts, and then came back here in 2020, right smack dab in the middle of a pandemic, and was doing communications and public relations, which was fun in the pandemic. And then 3 years ago, Chuck had the amazing foresight, said, let's get you over to fine arts. So I've been with the fine arts department since then. And my areas that I oversee are visual arts for K through 12, K through 5 vocal music, speech and debate, and theater at the secondary level. And just combine that with my background in marketing and public relations, and just building a powerhouse over there.
Absolutely. Well, as we obviously get into this discussion about fine arts and how that plays a role in education and what that looks like day to day for students coming to Broken Arrow Public Schools, I think one thing is the word essential has to be in the conversation, because I think fine arts are essential to education. Why do you think they might be essential, if you want to apply that word to it as well? And then how do they help shape students in and out of the classroom?
Well, there's so much research out there by all these great organizations. Americans for the Arts has a wonderful research involving that students that are part of fine arts are 4 times more likely to have academic achievement. They're 4 times more likely to have better attendance, to have better opportunities at scholarships in the secondary, post-secondary world. It's just, it bolsters their already amazing academic prowess with that creativity on top. It makes you use both sides of your brain. And that's a really important thing when it comes to people who are type A or type B learners. So that's what I see every day with all the kids that I interact with.
And there's research out there that also shows that districts that invest in the arts and make it I almost want to say a priority in the district, it affects students even outside the arts, because it creates a culture in a school district where there's less recidivism of fighting and bullying and those type of things. So I think it's pretty amazing that it infiltrates the whole school and not just the students in that department.
Yeah, it's got a great trickle-down effect with that. And then in the economy itself, it actually pumps about $4 billion into just the Oklahoma economy just with the arts sector, which is pretty incredible.
Wow.
You guys have already kind of touched on how it changes the academic scope for students, but let's get more specific. And here in Broken Arrow, how do you see fine arts affecting academic success for students here at BA?
So I don't like to brag, but I'm going to. Yes, I do love to brag. That's a lie. We have 10 National Merit semifinalists this year. 5 of those 10 are fine arts students. And that's not an accident at all. And every year we always look to the students who are heavily involved in academics who also do arts. And it's across the board, whether they're orchestra or band or speech and debate. Such a great group of kids. They're always represented in that National Merit semifinalist group. That's a huge brag for me.
Sure. Kim, any thoughts on that?
On both questions, I really consider the arts to be holistic development.
Mm-hmm.
It's all around. We can talk about academics, we can talk about stats, but having taught kids for over 30 years in the arts, it truly brings a holistic approach in the idea that we're developing social skills. We're putting kids in scenarios where they have to be problem solvers, that they're creative thinkers. They work as a goal, as a team, but also as an individual, and they're pushed. They're pushed in those ways. They're challenged in those ways. They're put in front of people to be vulnerable in whatever they're doing in their talent. Just like us speaking on these microphones, it can kind of make you nervous. Well, we put these kids in these scenarios every day. So when they have to communicate with people, when they have to be put in situations where their nerves might be on top of how they're feeling in the moment and how they handle those moments, whether it's scary or exciting or fun or devastating, it helps them socially and emotionally really tackle those moments. And those are life skills that are way beyond what they're going to have in high school. It's taking them into their future as an adult. And this is for all levels of experience, whether we're kindergartners, pre-K, all the way to senior citizens. It truly is, I believe, what 21st century workforce tactics are going to need. It's an ever-changing world. And we know it's moving faster and faster and faster, even in our lifetime, our short lifetime. But like I think in my parents' lifetime, just how different it is from when they were in the workforce to where we're in the workforce to where our children and grandchildren are going to be in the workforce. And the arts really tap all of those essential skills that they say today that they're going to need in the future that we don't understand yet. And it truly is an investment that's far beyond participation, if that makes sense. So when we talk about academic participation, though, I will tell you, my kids, when we were in season, always were on top of their grades, because if those lacked, they couldn't be on the field or they couldn't be in the chair performing. And you could see that if they dropped out of those programs or seasons changed and maybe their season wasn't in session at that time, that sometimes their grades would, they wouldn't fall downhill, but they sure the heck weren't paying near as much attention as they were when they were in it. I think it also anchors those kids to come to school because they have tight friend groups. They have teachers that really get to know them in deeper ways, I think, just because of the amount of time we spend with them and the situations that we're in. We travel, we're on buses, we're in groups. They're having to listen to instructions in large, capacities of people, really be self-sustaining in their moments. And so we get to know those kids and their parents because we're with them a lot like athletics. I believe it's the same in that correlation. But it really, truly, I believe, is a huge anchor for these kids to get them to be in school and to do well in school in all the facets we want them to be exposed to.
I communicate that to my teachers that sometimes you are the only reason this kid comes to school is to be with you in your classroom and to be with their tribe and their community. And we saw a lot of that. I had an art teacher go be a part of the Breaking Down the Walls and got a letter from a student the next day that said, "You are the reason I come to school."
Oh, that's awesome.
It's just the most powerful thing
awesome.
in the world. So that social economic part, yes, that's amazing.
And talk about the impact too, like the most visible and the front porch of the fine arts a lot of times. band, orchestra, show choir at the high school level. Talk about the impact of the arts and the visual arts in a first grade elementary class, and how they're building things into, or a music class, how they're building in things into those students that will carry over for years.
There's so much that goes in an elementary level when it comes to organization and critical thinking. Like they're having those kids do it to either music or to painting, and they don't realize that they're instilling those virtues in them, and like those building blocks of education. And the kids, once again, probably look forward to that. They know that it's art day, and so they know that like they're geared to go to it. And I think the teachers love that they get to touch every single kid in their school. The fine arts teachers at the elementary level see every single kid, every grade level. That's something that not every teacher can say. If you're a third grade teacher, that's your kids,
right?
But you don't see all those levels and watch them progress, which is huge for those teachers. Great time.
I also think that at that age level, you got to think about their creative mind. It's very different.
It's
Because
interesting.
As we get older, we become more structured, and we also become more guided by what we need to do and what we're supposed to do versus it just being a world of imagination. So if you can tap those kids young to be creative in the idea that they are creative and they figure that out, and it's not just, how their minds are working in that moment, that becomes something that is sustainable as they grow and they keep that drive and that thrive to be creative and imaginary. And we don't lose that as they get older. It's a really important moment to grab them.
Agreed.
Good.
Big time.
Not to use a fine arts pun here, but as we paint the picture of what it looks like
Good
in
one
Broken
there.
Arrow's
Ew.
fine arts department. Anytime you talk about Broken Arrow Public Schools, scale comes up, right? Size comes up, and it applies to fine arts as well. So can you give us a sense of how many students are partaking in the fine arts department, and whether that be in different activities or just in maybe a class, whatever it may be, and what kind of opportunities do they have to explore?
I can tell you numbers. Yes, sir. So
Okay, great.
These are numbers from last year, and we do an annual report every year now for the fine arts department that gives these kind of stats. So students K through 5, 8,509 students took at least one fine arts class. Students 6 through 12, 5,884 students took at least one fine arts class. Yeah. So total wide, 14,393 kids, grades K through 12, took at least one fine arts class. Now, there's some that take 3 or 4, multiple classes. So that's just a huge, huge chunk of kids with a almost 20,000 student population to think that we reach that many kids with, and I can add this, with only 95 educators. With all those kids, 95 fine arts teachers, K through 12, just a huge, huge chunk of kids with a very dedicated staff. And I mean, those stats, when I compiled those, I had to double check. I was like, are these real? These can't be real. They're real. They're very real.
Yeah.
And I will say it's not like that everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Before I moved to Broken Arrow, I was a part of really great fine arts programs. But when we moved down here and we were exposed to this environment, and we're talking 31 years ago.
Right.
It really, I give dedication to the people that were here before that created this culture, that have taught the generations after them, and they have sustained that and also passed that forward. And even today, as we have new people come in, they're not new people to Broken Arrow Arts, but they're taking over programs. They have been part of that history and learning about the people that were here before us. And I don't believe it just happens. No. It's cultivated. And, when we moved here, I was able to not only meet, but work for the 2 directors before the person we were working for, and became really good friends. And through the stories and the pictures and the memory books and the videos, we learned why we fell in love with the programs that we're part of. Yeah. And now as we are, in our years of probably being close to retirement, a few of us, I can tell you that the people that are here now know those stories and those people and where we came from, which is important for us to know how we're going to go forward and that we pass that forward. So I believe the reason that Broken Arrow has such a phenomenal, strong culture in the arts is because it's people
It is.
and them sharing what we believe in and our culture, and passing that forward.
I'm glad you said that. Growing up in Broken Arrow, think back, we all know Darren Davis today and Dr. Pence, but they'll tell you about the giants that came before them. And I've heard stories from Dr. Oliver about Paris York.
Oh, yeah.
The original band
Paris
director.
was awesome.
Harris and Ken Grass.
Yeah,
Tom
Ken
Stoll,
Grass.
There's
Tom,
a long lineage there.
Scott Tomlinson, who's
yeah,
back.
Yeah.
And,
So I'm glad you brought that up because there's a great history.
and that's band. And I'm not just talking band. I'm also talking, our choral program, our orchestra program, our speech and debate that has blossomed. It's fully engaging in all the arts. There's not even one program, I don't think, that lacks in
it's very robust
performance
across
or
the board.
engagement. And it's also because of those teams believing in each other
Right.
and sharing and being collaborative across their arts, gifts that they have. So it's a long history way before today. But I can tell you it is ingrained in all of us, even as our alumni students leave. You see them come back year after year because, kids that I had when I started are now the band parents. or they have kids
Or they're
that are
instructors.
graduating and they are just, the parent now that is going, I did this. And their kid's like, yeah, mom, or, dad, but they did, and they were here, but they know their kid is going to be a part of something that they were so touched by as a child that maybe even helped them develop the person that they are as an adult and as a parent, that they know their kid is going to get that same thing. It hasn't changed. It's only gotten better over the years. So that's a rare thing that I don't think a lot of programs have. And the great thing about Broken Arrows, we're not just known in the area. Our programs are known nationally. Our programs are known all over the United States. So it's funny, you can go somewhere and not be a part of the fine arts program, but be a citizen of Broken Arrow and mention it, and they go, oh.
Or if they see this and they go,
Oh,
wait a minute.
wait.
Wait,
You
what's
know?
going on here?
Well, I'd like to
So-
give you an opportunity to kind of answer this as well.
Sure.
Is just what makes Broken Arrow's fine arts department stand out from not just here in Oklahoma, but as she said, nationally as well.
So it's funny you should mention that. So back in October of 2024, the National Federation of High Schools named us the Performing Arts School of Excellence for the nation. And we were the first in Oklahoma and only the 9th in the nation. So representatives from NFHS and then the Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association came to do a big presentation, and we took them throughout all of our facilities. And they just kept looking around and saying, do you guys know what you have here? They kept saying that over and over. They came to the PAC with Kim and said, do you know what you have here? And they just kept saying that. And it made me think, well, what do we have here? Because I've never looked at another school to see like what it is. And they just kept, so when someone at a national level who's giving you a national award keeps saying that to you, something is right.
Right.
And something's going
And it's in the middle of the plains in Oklahoma.
Right.
Who would thought Broken Arrow is one of the top 9 fine arts districts in all of the nation. We're not talking New York City here.
Right,
We're
right.
talking Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And it still amazes me every day.
And I'm going to say this too, and it's not because you're sitting here. It also is an administration that supports the arts.
Absolutely.
Because we know a lot of school districts, and those even local, that their programs are diminishing because they're not funded, they're not supported, they're not seen, and they're not considered important in their academic, plans. And I think it's a really bad move. It has to be supported from all levels. And if you don't have an administration and a board,
I was going
I was going to say the Board of Education. I was about to say the same
our
thing.
administration and board, who obviously are a team that support what we do in all of our programs here in Broken Arrow, in our school districts, they're not going to flourish, and it's going to take that advantage away from those kids to have those opportunities. So huge kudos to them as well.
Well, I'm going to add a kudo to you, Miss Vento, and your staff, because our organizations, our groups, do 152 concerts and exhibits and events every year, and her staff runs every single
They're
one of
amazing.
them.
They are amazing.
And without them and without the facilities we have,
right.
we wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, think about 152 concerts. Do you go to 152 concerts?
I was trying to do the math in my head of 152 out of 365, and I was
well, not even 365. I mean, 190 school days.
True,
I mean, think about that math. It's crazy, but her staff is so dedicated to the facilities that we have and the students and teachers that we have to be able to have those events all year long. It's incredible.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we've talked a lot about growth and innovation as well. That's one thing that comes up as you talked about moving forward into the future of what fine arts looks like here at Broken Arrow. Do you think you can highlight a few things that maybe are improvements or initiatives that you're most proud of within our fine arts department? I'll turn that to you, Ms. Kim Vento.
Gosh, I got a lot. First and foremost, our students are our number one priority in Broken Arrow. And we're always trying to be creative in how we can incorporate them in things, not only in the classroom, but beyond. So a few of the programs that we partner with and we consider innovative is Arts OK. Arts OK is a nonprofit that helps us bring concerts and tours into Broken Arrow. So there's many facets to that are important from a community basis as far as, economy,
quality of life,
hotels, restaurants,
right.
tourism, trade, bringing conventions into the city. But one of the main goals for us is for our kids to be exposed to those real life scenarios and work those events. So we have kids in career pathway programs through our career pathways where they come to us every day and they're working theater tech positions and then working real live concert tours and lighting and doing audio and working backstage and scenery moves and rigging tasks and things like that. And we have several that have gone on and are in the career pathway collegiate level of those moments where we're seeing the fruits of our labor now in higher ed with these kids, or they're working right here in Tulsa at the BOK Center, or Kane's Ballroom, and doing these hands-on things that only they get in the moment that they're working. It's not a textbook job, in other words. Another program that we have is called Stars on Stage. Mm-hmm. We started this 5 years ago. Probably one of the most heartfelt things I've ever done in the arts in all the years I've done it. And it is a program where we have our special needs students put on a full-fledged musical, and they are the stars of the show. We have what they call the artist, our special needs kids, and then they have a peer mentor that just partners and shadows them and helps them navigate, whether it's their wheelchair, maybe cue a line, help them change clothes and maybe mic packs and things, but we put on a full musical for them. Culturally, it has been a game changer for these students. Some of the byproducts that we didn't expect also were our parents and the community it's created with them. I had one parent, I remember the first year, I'd go around and kind of talk to him and I'd say, what do you think? How are things going? Because this is new. We didn't know, how things were going. And she was crying, and I thought, oh, gosh, we're in trouble.
Could be good or bad.
She said, Kim, I have never been able to bring my child to an event where I wasn't hyper-focused that this kiddo of mine wasn't going to have a breakdown, wasn't going to fit in, wasn't going to be able to do what we were doing in the moment with these students they were with. I can literally bring them here and let them go and talk to parents that I can relate to. She said it's a very isolating place to be with a parent with special needs kids. We don't get invited to birthday parties. We don't always get a large group of friends for my child to be around. And she said for the first time, we have a community that's all accepting, and my kid can flourish here, just exactly who they are, where they are in the moment, and however they're feeling, whether they're upset, they're excited, they're crying, they're overwhelmed, they need a moment. So Stars on Stage is a huge one. And the last
and talk about that real quick of when those performances are, just to get that out to the public.
So they're in February.
And bring your Kleenex.
Bring your Kleenex. These kids are
Powerful.
real and raw, which makes them even better. They're not trying to be somebody. They literally are in that imaginary state we were talking about when you're young, and they just are so organic when they're up there on stage.
It may be one of the most beautiful things we do in Broken Arrow Public Schools.
Well,
really, seriously, it's and you brought
It's
it.
powerful.
I mean,
It's
you made it
quite
happen.
moving.
I would bring it to the top of the list, although we do a lot of really cool things in Broken Arrow. But it is a moving part, and it's also really advocating that arts is for all. Arts is for all of our kids, all of our adults, all of us, and we really try to mimic that in that program.
What is the musical this year?
It's Little Mermaid Junior. So
That's
we've got
going to be
fishes
amazing.
and octopuses and Ursula and all the things.
I can't wait.
So.
Well, I like that you had gone into Stars on Stage, because that kind of pivots to the next question as well, and talking about the sense of belonging and the sense of community, and what that's like for a student. Obviously, we talk about it day to day, and we do it a lot here on this podcast about talking about fitting in and feeling like you have a sense of community. And fine arts is really special with that, and how it creates that, as you had said, a tribe for students a lot of times. So from your perspective, how do the arts help build that sense of belonging and that sense of community within schools?
Well, I have to say that I think it starts mainly with the staff, because they're the ones who set the pace and the tone for the culture for the kids of like, this is what we're doing. I mean, I keep bringing it back to band, and I'm sure you do too, because they've created such an amazing machine where the kids belong, but the parents belong too, because they're part of the boosters that help those kids. And they build this groundwork standing on the shoulder of giants before them of, this is how you treat each other. This is how we interact with adults. When you come into a room, you say, hello, sir. It's how you doing, sir? Things like that they learn that suddenly becomes just part of their everyday vernacular. And that starts with the staff being ready at the very beginning, saying, we're going to build these kids into an amazing adult, and we're going to do that through the beauty of arts. And that's across all groups, not just band, but every group has that. And having those kids and the parents together helping build that just makes it that much more strengthened, because they've got that both at home and here at school. And it just that sense, I keep saying community and tribe over and over again, but it truly is that feeling.
I think another part too is the arts allow for a lot of people to touch these kids. And we're talking about, like, for instance, this year, which I think is a first in history, our choir and orchestra and band were all accepted to play for the state music convention in the same year.
In January, yes.
It's never happened in all the years. And that's a blind audition. So they put a cut tape in the year before. They don't know who the school is, and they're chosen without knowing the name.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's an amazing feat. But I will tell you, we always want in Broken Arrow schools for our parents to be involved in our children's journey through their school and educational life in Broken Arrow. And the arts really open a door to those parents being there in the moment. You've got the choir, like today, we've got the choir parents setting up the cookie walk. So we've got, 20 parents out in the lobby setting up rows of cookies for people to come buy and get hot chocolate and gift raffle bags and boosters, and feeding these kids on trips, traveling with them. It brings the parents into their kids' world. And I think it's an important part. Also, our kids are out in the arts competing or showing their art in areas where other people are able to collaborate with them. So whether they're competing to maybe be an all-state music, player for the state convention, if the show choir is going out and competing all over the United States with their competitions that they do, they're meeting other kids, other parents from schools. It definitely puts them out into the world, beyond the classroom, but out into places where they get to meet and travel and see a lot of really cool places in the United States.
What we've done the last 2 years in fine arts is we took a page out of the athletics book and started a fine arts student leadership council, and pick the leaders of every discipline, get them on a council together, get them in a room, and just say, let's talk about fine arts. And always, it's very just open discussion. Mr. Perry's been a part of those things, and those kids are not shy. They let you know exactly how they feel.
They're very authentic.
But the stuff that they have shared with us is amazing, like how they love to go to contests, how they love seeing that part of them, but they also love to just be in a concert setting where it's not so competitive. But how they also like to enjoy each other's disciplines, even though it's kind of hard because everybody's, like I said, 152 events. It's kind of hard to make it to all of it. But wanting the collaboration is one thing that I didn't really see. Breaking down those silos between disciplines has come out of this Student Leadership Council, and it's been incredible with that.
Well, those 152 events, a heck of a lot of them are held at the Performing Arts Center.
Dun, 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 dun.
In Kirkland,
Yes. Yeah.
In Kirkland, yeah.
Yes, but again, a lot of them at the Performing Arts Center. What role does having such a phenomenal facility have, not only for students, but for the larger Broken Arrow community as well?
I think the Broken Arrow Performing Arts Center was a big game changer for downtown Broken Arrow when it was built. I think it really shot fireworks off to help start the update of the Rose District. I think that was one of the big things that it did. But I thought back in the day when this was happening, why in the world are we building the Performing Arts Center in the middle of town, right? Because everybody else, this is Broken Arrow though. This is Broken Arrow for you. Everybody else does it this way. Broken Arrow thought outside the box, and they put it in the middle of the city because it is all the schools' Broken Arrow Performing Arts Center. It's all the schools' facility. So we are centralized so that when we have events, whether it's our third graders coming in, over 1,400 of them for an event, we have them centralized so they're not on one side of the city or the other, and they're able to come in and get to us quick and get back to their schools quick. And we get to do a lot more. We don't have the hustle and bustle of kids coming and going from tech and lunch and all the things that kids come and go from the school with. It's opened it up to have the opportunity to do a lot of more things during the day. We also are a huge centralized part of the community to where we can host, community events. We can rent to different organizations when the school district's not using the facility itself. It is a game changer.
Broadway shows. The
Broadway tours that we bring in, that again, I talked about our kids being able to work and the economic impact it has on our city. It truly is a community-based venue, centralized in the city and a component of many, many assets to all things, our students, our community, our patrons that come. One thing I tell my mom is, people say, you have such a great job. And I said, I do. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time, but we get to bring people together every day to celebrate someone or something every day. Like it's a party celebration every day that someone's on that stage and we're getting to share them live and tangible with all senses, not on our phone, but live. And I think that's the biggest beautiful part of the Performing Arts Center. It is live. Yep. It is in person, and it's something that we all need more of.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and talking about community and talking about it being centralized, one thing that it's always going to do is bring in community partnerships, right? And that's key to sustaining a strong arts program. So can you share some examples of community or industry partnerships that have strengthened our fine arts offerings, and how can community members get involved if they want to?
Well, I'm going to go back to our parent booster groups. They are amazing. They go out there, they hustle, they get sponsorships, they do fundraisers to have those abilities to go travel to California, travel to Florida, travel all over New York City. And the parents really they kind of just take the ball and run, to use an athletic metaphor in an arts conversation. And without them doing that, and also their connections, if they work at those industries and whatnot, those community partners to them are the strength of making sure these kids get to have these things where they may have never been able to travel to the East Coast before, and now they get to go twice in their high school career for something amazing, all because the parents and the sponsors they bring in believe in the cause of what they want to do. That's just phenomenal. You have a lot of great partners with Stars on Stage.
We have a lot of great partners with multiple facets. First, I'm going to say this as a blanket statement. Sometimes people think the arts are entertainment. It's an extra added, not important thing. It's something that the investment is, thought about, but not taken as serious, I think, as some other things. And I can tell you, This investment into the arts in any facet changes lives and also brings health and wellness to a community. Flat out. I don't care where you travel. There's probably some arts component that's engaged in, like on your vacations or anything else. It brings a community really a foundation of mindful wellness. And that's included in our kids. So whatever program it is, whether it's, our fine arts programs, our parent boosters, our speech and debate kids, Stars on Stage, if you are someone who believes in mental health and wellness, it not only does that for our children, but it also does it for those people that are consumers of that. It brings all that to the table. We have several organizations, businesses especially, that contribute to our programs, also to the Spotlight series, our tours that we do. Huge shout outs to those people who believe in it. We also are partnered with the Kristen Chenoweth Arts and Education Fund, which does the Kristen Chenoweth Broadway Boot Camp here in Broken Arrow, which brings in kids from all over the world into Broken Arrow and their families. And we put on a boot camp. And by the way, we partner that with also on Stars on Stage. So our kids perform with these A-list Broadway professionals and kids. And just to let you know the impact, we have 3 programs that have started because of that. One in Indiana, one in South Carolina, and one in England.
Wow.
And we're not stopping. And our kids, our special needs kids and their peer tutors or mentors are the ones who give the message. And that's what started these programs. It was those little humans that inspired an adult to take this somewhere else and get this started. So our programs not only are impacting our kids and our local community and our parents and administrators and staff and everybody, it's impacting people all over the country.
Yeah.
So it's bigger than sometimes we see it. It's bigger than us in our everyday lives. Broken Arrow is an exquisite place for the arts. I am blessed not only to have moved here, but I have stayed here, even after being divorced and having no family here. It's my home. I love my family to death, and they come down and experience it with me, but it has anchored me here for life. It's changed my life. And my only thing that I can do is share that and change other people's lives by how I engage with the gift I've been given.
It's very well said. Yeah. And it's changed many lives. I mean, I went to school here, and I remember so many different faces that were a part of that program, and in different facets, and how impacted they've been. And I have friends that were a part of those programs, and I've talked to them, and they still, recant memories of when they were a part of the programs. And that's, 5-10 years down the line. So it's definitely a long lasting impact. And, I talk a lot about my personal experiences here on this podcast, having just, graduated 8 years ago.
You better stop.
Sorry, Adam. I know. but having recently been in the students' shoes, and I never really was involved in fine arts at the high school level. I took some theater arts classes in middle school and in freshman academy and stuff like that. But for me, it was like growing up in Broken Arrow, I almost felt numb to how excellent everything is here. And as you had talked about moving in, you saw what the difference in programs were like. And it took me getting out of Broken Arrow to understand, oh my gosh, what we have at Broken Arrow is truly special. Yeah. It took, college classmates knowing that I was from Broken Arrow and saying, your band there is insane. Your show choir there is incredible. And I was like, that's just day to day for us. And so that was kind of my wake up call. But I can kind of relate to you in that sense, but just the opposite. So
that's funny.
But as we talk big picture things, I want to first start with the day to day. And day to day, you have a lot of events that go on. As Mr. Adam Foreman has said many times, we have things going on all the time. What are some things that are upcoming that you all have, whether it be in any sort of program here in our fine arts department, that you're really excited for?
So I've got 3. We've got 3 big ones coming up in the spring. We actually have 80 concerts left in the spring. So you think about that, good grief. One of the big ones, March 31st, is the Elementary Music Festival, which will be here in the Student Events Center at the high school. We moved it here for the first time last year. It had been at various locations throughout the town, but we just kept growing and kept getting bigger. And what it does is brings together nearly 500 fifth graders in one giant choir, and they sing a show that is 8 or 9 songs that all has a theme. This year's theme is Oklahoma weather. So that'll be really fun. So all the songs will have to do with like Oklahoma weather. But to hear all those 500 voices come together in this just big mass group is just, number one, it's chilling. It's amazing. But number two, we turned it into an actual festival where we have all of our representatives from our secondary groups come in and visit with these fifth graders about, hey, when you're going to middle school, maybe you want to join the band. Maybe you want to join the choir. And not only the teachers, but all the students, their students that year come in too and talk to the kids. And, you know, when those kids talk to older kids, they just kind of get dumbstruck and like, it's amazing to watch them talk to the kids. So that's a real big one, March 31st. April 6th through the 17th, the district art show we have at NSU Broken Arrow. It's for 2 weeks. It's set up on the campus of NSU BA, and it is art from every single site across the district. And it's the only event, I always say this proudly, the only event that brings all school sites together in one event. So we have that April 6th through the 17th, and that'll be a huge show. And then finally, April 30th through May 3rd at the Broken Arrow Performing Arts Center, the Broken Arrow High School Theater will present the musical Oklahoma, which is, you know, if you're from Oklahoma, you better know that musical, up, down, left, right, back, forth. But this year it also coincides with the 100-year anniversary of Route 66, which goes right through Claremore, which is where the show was set. So right now, actually, we're doing auditions as we speak for the show. So those are 3 really big things coming up in the spring amongst those other 80 events happening.
Anything in your eyes?
Well, I can tell you that no one rests in this box of fine arts. You know, we always are brainstorming what's the next big thing we're going to take on. We do have plans, and we're in the very beginning plans of hopefully taking all of our students, orchestra, drama, band, and choir on a pretty amazing trip in the future. That takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of financial support. When and if that's announced in the near future and you hear about it, know that if you want to participate, that we would love your participation in getting our kids to be able to do these out-of-the-box events that we're hoping to get to do. I'm not going to say it because I
love that you're giving a teaser.
I know, it's a teaser.
Mystery.
But, you know, we always... What is so great about the arts is the creative thinking always brings on things where we go, oh my gosh, how are we going to do that? And then magically, with all of us as supporters of the arts, we figure it out, and we bring pretty amazing opportunities to our kids. So even though I can't say necessarily about that, I can tell you it's never dull. And you never get complacent with whatever we're doing. I mean, we're continuing what we do, but we're always looking for those next things that we can expose our kids to amazing moments. So there's lots coming. Just stay tuned.
So as you touch on that, the next question I had was, is there a big dream or a goal for this fine arts department that you guys have for, would that be 5-10 years down the line? Is there something that you guys are eyeing for the future for Broken Arrow Fine Arts?
I know something that Mr. Davis and I have talked about is a fine arts festival, a multi-day event with all groups together, visual arts, music, all of it under one roof or in one area, because I don't think we could all be under one roof if we tried, and have it just showcase all the arts at the same time and be collaborative in those as well and make it just a full community event with multiple stages and everything. Now, the logistics, as Kim would say, we got a lot to think about when it comes to that.
Which is already what's happening right now. Oh my gosh.
Her brain just got blown. Yeah, so, but that's like a big thing for us. Like, we want to do that because we also want the other kids to experience the other arts within their own department. It's amazing how many, I'll ask the kids, how many of you been to an orchestra concert? You know, not hands go up. I want every hand to go up, you know? So that's a big dream of ours that will take many years of planning and logistics and time and staff and Kim Vento and all the things in between. Yeah.
Kim Vento's team.
Kim Vento's team. Yeah. So that's a dream of ours, a fine arts festival.
Anything in your eyes, or is that same answer?
You know, I think that we are seeing a big shift in our fine arts department really cross. I don't know how to say.
I say cross pollination.
That's kind of a weird
it's
word.
not, yeah.
But I think the collaborative side is growing.
Yeah.
I think the collaboration between what's really hard, and this isn't any negative, but when we have programs that are developed as good as they are, it's very hard to have really strong elite programs that have the time to migrate and expose the kids to all of these different genres of the arts. I think that we're seeing a shift in that, and it takes many years for this to happen. And not that it's not happened at all, but I think it's a bigger focus that we make sure our kids are able to participate in many, many facets of the arts, not just one tunnel. Part of, I think, being in high school is the exploration of whatever it is you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard, and I know it's even more of a task that we put on our kids, that like, you got to decide right now what you want to be when you're 21. I can tell you, when I was in my second year of college, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was like, gosh, I got to figure out which way I want to go. I have so many. So I think the arts, this collaboration of letting them explore and being exposed. Can I sing? Can I debate? Can I play the violin? Can I march in the marching band? Can I be in show choir? Can I work tech? Can I have a career in one of these facets? Do I want to teach? There's so many parts of it that are there. I think that our teachers allowing our kids to explore is important, and we're really seeing that becoming an important component of our staff seeing that and working together towards that and giving the kids the opportunities to do that.
I think as we talk about big picture and things down the line, I think it's important to also get the district perspective on that. And what are some things that you see for fine arts down the line, and some things that, as an administration, you guys are looking at?
I think I would love to see us expand into some of the more untraditional fine arts. You know, we have our core things that we've done for years within schools, and anything that we could do to expand clubs, offerings that are unique, that might pair some students up and give them some, peer connection of interest, whether that be different genres of music or more untraditional School of Rock type things going on. I would love for that opportunity for our kids.
I was going to say, you want to see an Americana rock roots band spring up in the school.
That's right.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because we've actually had an organization reach out to us this last year called Music
Will.
Mm-hmm. And it is exactly what you're talking about. And it came to us from Kristen Chenoweth's reference, for them to bring in the ability to supply whatever instruments we want. But it's really talking about the kids who aren't already in a program that maybe play guitar.
Right.
You know, we don't have a guitar class, right? Maybe they learned on their own or on YouTube how to play that, and whatever else drums or whatever else they've gotten excited about and can learn via video these days. And really tapping into those kids and getting them into a program. It might be after school program, it may not be a classroom setting, but it's the ability to bring them into the arts through a different avenue that's not traditional. That's right. And they are an amazing organization. We might see that in the future. We'll see.
It'll be a lot of fun to see, that's for sure. Well, as we close things out, we'll just get a final message from you all as we, talk directly to the listener, to community members, students, parents, whoever it may be that's listening to this podcast. One final message about the importance of supporting fine arts and just how special it is to have such a fine arts department that we have here in Broken Arrow. Ms. Vento?
This is a emotional topic for me. I am so proud to work for the school district. 31 years, I have seen a lot of administrators come and go. I've seen really good friends retire. I have seen innovation. I've seen collaboration, but I think the most important part I've seen is the heart for our children to succeed. And that's all of our kids. The arts has the ability to touch all of our kids in a way that they need to be touched, from a emotional, social standpoint, from a having a group of friends to just be in the room with, to do scary things with. The arts is a way for our kids to thrive and survive. And it's an impactful way for our kids to get engaged in school. And the engagement component, I think, is the most important part for our kids these days, where phones are sucking them into a different world. Having them engaged and talking and creating in real life is so important. And I believe that's what the arts does. And I am so grateful that we have a school district that sees that and invests in that and believes in that.
How can I follow that? That's the real question.
You can do it.
I want to piggyback on something she said earlier about arts being for everyone, and that is so true. No matter what age group, no matter where you're from, any community that puts an emphasis on arts is a community that thrives both economically and socially, quality of life wise. And so us being able to build these arts leaders for the next generations, and usually they all come back to Broken Arrow and give back to that. I see that as a huge responsibility for us to build them and then set them out into the world and then have them come back and contribute to their own community. And anytime we value that, it ties to that social and emotional package with kids too, about how arts can move you and then you can move people with your art. And we instill that in the kids too. It's almost like a therapy for dealing with anything that life throws at you. There's arts that is there to help out. Whether with your friends or you're alone or you're experiencing a show, that is there to provide that amazing comfort and just growth for you as a person. So that's my wax poetic about how important it is for us to keep that thriving.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm excited to see how the fine arts program continues to grow, because where it was 20, 30 years ago, it's only gotten bigger and better now. So 20, 30 years down the line, you got to imagine it's going to be pretty incredible to see here at Broken Arrow. Thank you guys for coming over here to the AirVision studio.
Yes, thank you.
Some time out to talk to us here at the Core Values Podcast. Of course, thank you, Mr. Perry, for being here as well. And thank you for listening to this podcast. You can find our podcasts anywhere you look for podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, all the above. We thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next month.